right now at 7.
An increase over this next holiday period could put us over the edge into a truly catastrophic situation.
San Francisco hit tonight with a new mandatory quarantine order, what it means for holiday trips, and what could happen next.
We want to take every step possible to slow the spread.
As of midnight tonight, we'll be laid off for at least 3 weeks.
We're in life-saving mode, and the numbers don't lie.
Countdown to another shutdown. The Bay Area counties now just a few hours away. We're live.
And the same Bay Area coyote on the attack for the third time. The latest victim, a grocery store worker.
And this just in, a court ruling from San Diego that could have an impact on similar cases statewide. Thousands of restaurants just got the green light to resume on-site dining with safety protocols, despite the state order banning it. A judge clarified today a ruling he issued yesterday protecting 2 strip clubs from a shutdown also extends to dining. Several Bay Area restaurants have a similar lawsuit against the state.
Also right now on the KPIX 5 News at 7 and streaming on CBS and Bay Area, deaths and daily cases are skyrocketing statewide. In the past 24 hours alone, 379 people have died and more than 52,000 cases have been added. Positivity rate soaring now past 11%. Good evening, I'm Ken Bastida.
And I'm Elizabeth Cook, looking live at SFO. With the numbers climbing, KPIX 5's Katie Nielsen reports San Francisco is taking no chances when it comes to travelers.
The new quarantine order goes into effect just after midnight tonight. Public health officials say it is a necessary next step in slowing the spread of COVID-19.
We cannot afford another increase in cases.
San Francisco's Director of Public Health, Dr. Grant Colfax, announced the travel quarantine for anyone coming into the city from outside these 9 Bay Area counties.
People who travel outside of San Francisco and visitors who come from other areas are at much higher risk of being infected and spreading the virus.
Anyone who does come into San Francisco from out of town is now required to quarantine for 10 days. That includes residents who've left the area and are coming home, as well as those visiting from out of town. The order states people should not leave their home except in an emergency or to seek medical care. It does not allow for people in quarantine to go to work or school, out to pick up food, groceries, or other essentials.
And I know this is yet another sacrifice in almost 10 months into this pandemic.
The new mandatory quarantine order overlaps with the state-mandated regional stay-at-home order, since ICU capacity for the Bay Area region has fallen below 15%.
We expect that our ICU and acute care beds will continue to fill rapidly with sick patients.
The regional surge started just after Thanksgiving, where many people were still traveling and gathering with friends and family despite warnings from health experts to stay home. The fear now is that without this travel quarantine, Christmas and New Year's travel could lead to yet another surge in cases.
An increase over this next holiday period could put us over the edge into a truly catastrophic situation.
There are exemptions to the quarantine for medical professionals, first responders, anyone traveling for official government purposes, or critical infrastructure work. The 10-day travel quarantine will be in effect until at least January 4th of next year, and it could be extended depending on the city's numbers. In San Francisco, Katie Nielsen, KPIX 5.
In less than 5 hours, San Mateo, Napa, and Solano counties will have no choice but to join the rest of the Bay Area in imposing the governor's stay-at-home orders. That's because our ICU capacity is now hovering around 13%.
KPIX 5's Andrea Borba live in Redwood City tonight, where people are eating out maybe for the last time in the foreseeable future. Andrea?
Well, Ken and Elizabeth, Supervisor David Canepa here in San Mateo County says he wishes the county had moved into with the rest of the Bay Area region into that stay-at-home order 2 weeks ago. But he says now is the exact right time to do it. The heat lamps and tables are up on Broadway in Redwood City for the last time this year as San Mateo County moves into the now Bay Area-wide stay-at-home order.
We're in life-saving mode, and The numbers don't lie.
With ICU capacity dropping below 15% in the region, people were rushing to get last-minute haircuts. Stylist Ashley Yellinger is preparing to work until 11:59 p.m.
We've had a lot of people contacting us asking to get in today before we're able to close down, so I've actually extended my day. I've got a really long day ahead of me, lots of coffee.
Devin Harrell and Marcus Thompson of California Blends Barbershop will work until it is no longer legal to do so.
In the beginning, we had to close down about 4 or 5 months in the beginning, so it's the second time around, third time around. Hopefully, we'll still be here for you guys when when we finally get to open back up.
At Nick the Greek, revenue was already down 50%, even with outdoor dining.
To be honest, I look at the bright side of things, but I can't say that I'm not worried. I definitely got, bills to pay, certain things that, you got to worry about family.
Across Broadway, Nighthawk won't be attempting takeout or delivery meals, which means
As of midnight tonight, we'll be laid off for at least 3 weeks, but we're hopeful that after 3 weeks, we'll be back to same energy we have around here and back to the good old times.
Now, this scene here on Broadway in Redwood City is done. This is it for tonight at 11:59 p.m. This all has to be rolled up. The heat lamps, the tables, the chairs. Businesses say they hope that they can hold on. Live in Redwood City tonight, Andrea Borba, KPIX 5.
All right, Andrea, thank you.
Taking a live look at San Jose right now, some healthcare workers there getting their first doses of the vaccine today. Here's a look inside Santa Clara County's new clinic. It opened today and has the capacity to vaccinate about 200 people per day. First in line, healthcare workers at acute care hospitals and skilled nursing facilities.
So even as we have this hope and we begin to vaccinate, we have to still continue all of the other efforts that we have been practicing. We must continue to wear our masks. We must continue to stay home as much as possible. We must continue to not gather.
Yeah, it's a similar story in Marin County. The first group of healthcare workers from long-term nursing facilities got their first dose of the vaccine today.
It's for our own good and for the people that we work for it. It's been really sad, 8-9 months, and these people, they cannot even see their families.
This has been the most exciting moment in my career, to be able to move so quickly to vaccinate such a critical population in our community.
And our new KPIX5 app is the best place to get these updates on the vaccines and other late-breaking news on the pandemic.
Animal Control is trying to track down a coyote that attacked 3 different people in Contra Costa County. The latest happened outside Diablo Foods in Lafayette on Tuesday. Officials say the coyote bit a clerk behind the store. They linked that DNA to 2 other attacks in Moraga, what happened earlier this month at the Capilindo High School. And back in July, a boy was attacked at Moraga Commons Park. Officials are working to trap the animal.
Morgan Hill police looking for the burglars who got away with about $160,000 worth of bicycles. Officers say that they broke into the Specialized Bicycle headquarters on Sunday, stole several bikes. Police believe the suspects got away in this white van. The company is now offering $25,000 for an arrest or the return of those bikes.
They are highly recognizable, and that somebody will notice that person rolling this bike through either a bike shop front door or trying to sell online, Craigslist or Facebook, is going to notice that this is not a bike that just anybody would show up with.
Tonight, the FBI is offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to the arsonist who set fire to an Armenian church building in San Francisco. These newly released photos show the damage inside the church offices of St. Gregory the Illuminator. The building sits next door to the church on Commonwealth Avenue. It also houses the church library, Sunday school classrooms, and occasionally hosts visiting clergy. Luckily, no one was staying there at the time.
Coming up next, why a dinner at a famous Yosemite destination is causing a bit of an uproar tonight.
Plus, we have a close eye on Capitol Hill. Will lawmakers get a stimulus deal done tonight? What we just learned about talks possibly dragging on.
And some big developments on the other vaccine about to come into production, when those doses could start going out. Plus,
I had to buy a ticket like last night in advance. I'm ready to go get some powder.
New snow and big crowds, what ski resorts are expecting despite the state guidelines.
The same storm system that brought that snow to the Sierra brought rain to the Bay Area last night, but today ended up being a nice day. Temperatures anywhere from the mid-50s to the mid-60s, and it does look like the weekend is going to be nice. Take a look at that and an early look ahead of the Christmas Day forecast coming up.
An indoor Thanksgiving feast at Yosemite's high-end Ahwahnee Hotel left many workers feeling uneasy. They told the SF Gate masks were technically required but not enforced. At the touchless buffet that drew hundreds of guests across multiple seatings, they also say the bar area got extremely crowded. A representative for Park Concessionaire Aramark couldn't provide the exact number of guests, but he did say it was below the capacity limits in place at the time of the party.
Sierra ski resorts are preparing to open up more runs, more slopes this weekend after a fast-moving snowstorm dropped several inches of fresh powder. The snow-covered trees and mountains are a big draw right now during the holidays. Sierra Tahoe Mountain Resort is seeing a steady flow of business with skiers and snowboarders feeling the adrenaline rush. Resorts hope that will continue through this weekend, but big reminder, if you want to travel to the Sierra from Santa Clara or San Francisco counties this weekend, you need to quarantine for 10 days, according to the county, when you return home.
I had to buy a ticket like last night in advance. I'm ready to go get some powder.
Well, when the slopes are really buttery, it feels really good.
Looks pretty, but be careful if you're coming from the Bay Area to Tahoe. I know they only really want the locals there. But let's switch gears. We're talking about a really cool thing that's going to be happening in the skies next week.
Yeah, and you can actually see it to some extent already tonight. Jupiter and Saturn and the moon getting closer and closer together in the night sky, especially the few hours after sunset. So look to the southwest. We'll talk more about that in a second. I want to talk about why this is kind of a rare occurrence. And it's because all the orbits of the planets take a different amount of time. For us, it's 365 days. But for Jupiter, it takes almost 12 years for Jupiter to make one loop around the sun. For Saturn, it takes over 29 years. And so those planets, from our perspective here on Earth, only line up in the night sky once every roughly 20 years or so. The last time it happened was in the year 2000. The next time it happens is going to be in 2040. But not all of these conjunctions, as we call them, are the same because these orbits aren't exact circles. They're more ovals. So some of the conjunctions, the planets get kind of close together. The one that's going to be peaking Monday night, Jupiter and Saturn are basically going to be right on top of each other. If you look through a telescope towards the southwest, you're going to be able to see the large moons of Jupiter and the rings of Saturn within the same field of vision. And that doesn't happen more than once every few hundred years. In fact, the last time it happened was in the 1200s. So if you want to see that, you can look out there this evening, and they're pretty close together. They're going to be really close together. By Monday evening, that's when Jupiter and Saturn are almost going to appear as one dot in the sky as you look with the naked eye. But if you have a good pair of binoculars or a telescope, you're going to be able to pick out the details of both the rings of Saturn and those Galilean moons of Jupiter. Back here on Earth, well, we got some rain last night in our corner of the planet, and that was nice to see. Here are the amounts, just over an inch on Mount Tam, but for most of us, it was generally in that quarter-inch to half-inch rain. Not a drought buster, but we'll take every bit we can get. It does chip away at that rainfall deficit, but we're still running around 25 to 30% of what's normal for this point in the rainy season. There's not much rain in the forecast either as we look ahead to the next several days. Temperatures right now dipping down a bit into the upper 40s in a couple spots. Santa Rosa and Livermore into the upper 40s, while elsewhere it's low 50s. And with clear skies and dying winds overnight, we're going to end up in the 30s inland by tomorrow morning, with temperatures around the bay starting off the day in the low to mid 40s. But a nice warm up in store. Temperatures are going to end up either close to normal or 2 to 5 degrees above average. Mid to upper 50s along the coast, otherwise an even mix of upper 50s and low 60s. Above normal for the middle of December, but not that far above normal. At least it does still feel like the last few days of autumn. It's time for a very early look ahead. Christmas Day is a week from tomorrow, so we're going to pin an extra day onto the 7-day forecast and give you that 8th day with a look at Christmas Day. And again, this is really long-range data. It's likely to change at least a little bit. We're talking about above average temperatures continuing. Pleasantly cool temperatures with a mix of clouds and sunshine along the coast, mid-50s there, upper 50s around the bay, with near 60-degree high temperatures inland, with the slightest chance of a passing shower. But it looks like after Christmas, maybe farther into Christmas weekend and into the last week of the year is when the next decent chance of rain will head our way. Dry weather throughout the 7-day forecast. I'll have an update coming up at 11 o'clock. Elizabeth?
All right, Paul, thanks. Well, here's a look at your top headlines. It's crunch time on Capitol Hill. Lawmakers are faced with two urgent tasks. Fund the government past midnight on Friday and extend COVID-19 relief, which is set to expire by the end of the year. They are getting closer to approving a $900 billion stimulus package that could include expanded unemployment funds, small business aid, and another round of direct stimulus payments. However, some Republicans say the bill's price tag is too high, while Democrats want larger stimulus checks.
We're going to stay right here, until we're finished, even if that means working through the weekend, which is highly likely.
We have a responsibility to get this right. People's lives depend upon it.
Full FDA approval of Moderna's new vaccine could come as early as tomorrow. Earlier, an FDA advisory panel recommended authorization for emergency use. 8 million doses could be rolled out next week. Nearly 700,000 doses will come to California. And unemployment claims have hit their highest level in 3 months. The state is reporting more than 200,000 claims for the first time since September, and that includes about 24,000 cases in the last week. And Ken, the spike in claims directly coincides with the recent state guidelines forcing all businesses to scale back or close completely.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. Coming up next, the Bay Area Food Bank that can barely keep up with demand, why it believes that things are only going to get worse.
We have people that have never used the food bank before.
Plus, a huge Bay Area park is now open to everyone to explore after being off limits for 50 years. And then later, the trash talk's already begun ahead of a much anticipated father-son golf match.
He is competitive, yes. Charlie was mouthing off saying, he's like, here I am, I'm 9 years old. I shut him up pretty quick.
Coming up all new tonight at 11, former EDD employee charged with unemployment fraud. How prosecutors say she impersonated Dianne Feinstein to scam the system. While businesses across the Bay Area are being shut down, one Santa Rosa food bank says that they've never been busier. Redwood Empire, largest food bank in Sonoma County, supplying direct to the public and other smaller food charities. With the help of volunteers, it has distributed twice as much food as last year, enough for 22 million meals. And with unemployment claims spiking, the food bank is preparing for a long winter.
We have people that have never used the food bank before. We have middle income families that really are hurting.
I think that the other foot has not dropped yet, that I think that things are going to get a lot worse.
We know that there are kids that our kids go to school with that we're very concerned, are they getting enough to eat?
With so many places closed right now, tonight we can report Foothills Park in Palo Alto is finally open to all. It was open to city residents only for more than 50 years until the city council voted to change that last month. A small group seeking to keep it private couldn't collect enough signatures. So, as of today, it is a public park.
Coming up next, a little bit of trash talk tonight ahead of a much anticipated father-son golf match. Tiger Woods will tee it up with this weekend with his son Charlie as a playing partner in the PNC Championship. And as you might expect, Team Woods is playing to win.
He is competitive, yes. And our whole family is that way.
Tiger, Charlie, who's 9, will play with Justin Thomas and his dad. Thomas knows to expect a little trash talk from the younger Woods after a putting contest they had a couple of years ago.
Charlie was mouthing off saying, he's like, here I am, I'm 9 years old, beating the #1 player in the world and supposedly the best golfer of all time. And he 3-putted and I made it and I beat him, so I shut him up pretty quick.
It was 9 then, a little older now. The father-son challenge starts Saturday morning.
wild. He looks just like his dad when he does that swing. He's got the whole stance. And I know that's his grandfather's swing that they taught him.
It's like he just says, "Hey, Dad, why am I slicing? Move the club head back a 1/4 inch." Okay, boom, right down the middle. You got the best teacher in the world.
No kidding.
I mean, come
no
on.
kidding.
Yeah.
Pretty cool to see. Well, thank you for watching. The news continues streaming on CBSN Bay Area.
We'll be back here at 11. Have a good night.